Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 3 on the horizon, and it's a Game 3 that has come about in the, what I want to say, most expected and least expected way. You tell somebody that Zed Jungle sent you to Game 3, and you go, what? But you tell somebody that Team Ambition played Zed Jungle, and you go, well, yeah, of course, that makes sense. And that's the beauty of the games that we've had in front of us today, Rude. Seeing this Zed come to life, seeing Team Ambition come to life against 100 Thieves next, one of the strongest teams that we had expected to have so far, is already a gift quite early on in the season.
And I'm really happy to see it as well, because I talked about it in game one that there should have been a little bit of a reality check for 100 Thieves, that Team Ambition can go toe-to-toe with you early on. They showcased it with a composition that didn't quite scale as well into the late game. Game number 2, they come in, they make a few changes in the draft, they pick up the Victor, pick up the Jinx, and all of a sudden, that early game that they were able to snowball, or the early game that they were able to stabilize, keep themselves even, get themselves a little lead in, got snowballed into having Victor and Jinx at 3 items while your mid and AD carry were barely finishing their second, and all of a sudden, it doesn't matter that anticipation is, playing this Zed and, hey, he's diving into the backline getting exhausted, because guess what? We've now got 2 powerhouses of backline sources of damage that are just raining out on you, and you can't exhaust everybody, you can't withstand all of that damage, so they're more than capable of taking the game from them. And now we head into this game 3 where Team Ambition have shown what they can do, and if you give them the same draft again, they can take this series. 100 Thieves next hadn't lost a game coming into this series. Now they're on the brink of losing a series entirely. You tell that to somebody before coming into this series. The first seeded team versus what is one of our lower seeded teams here from the open qualifiers, taking them to a full game 3 series. Absolutely incredible.
And it's just it's just the first day. It's incredible to have this happening so early on. And one of the things that was so incredible to watch just last game was the way that Nemesis played it out. I know that we could talk all day about anticipation and Shookies and how they turned that game on its head. And I tell you, Rudude, we will be doing that in just a minute. But before we do, I wanted to give huge props over to Nemesis, who was constantly finding a lot of farm angles throughout that game and ended up changing things. You talked about it yourself, the difference in items between Team Ambition's mid laner and 100 Thieves mid laner, between Team Ambition's AD carry and 100 Thieves AD carry. And a lot of this was propelled off the back that Nemesis was able to take side lanes into his own hands on this Victor that I hadn't really seen proven to me with this guy before. Nemesis very clearly is comfortable on this control mage, and if he's comfortable on this, if he can play the Yone as well across 2 different games, across one of the best teams that we have, surely the sky is the limit.
It really is. The depth in champion pool really does speak to how strong Team Ambition can be and how flexible they can be with their drafts as well. And I think that coming into this game, it's actually going to be Team Ambition on that red side, which just adds to your flexibleness, adds to the flexibility that you have with your comp. You can R5 something absolutely off the wall, and the enemy team can't do anything about it. There is no answer they can put down since you're the last pick in the draft. We are waiting on trying to get that draft underway. It will be not too short a time from now, but we've got plenty of time now to talk back on how Team Ambition came about that win. And I know that for myself, at the very least, Anti plus Chuckies, they were the 2 that just ran over that mid game. Anticipation started out the game very strong. He called for the resources, right? We saw on the bot side of the map, Nightstar got abandoned level 1. They walked into Fnatic's topside jungle, forced him off his red buff, took it for themselves, and said immediately, this Zed jungle is our powerhouse. He ran with that for the first 5-10 minutes and was able to find those leads. And then when we see Jinx just about capable enough, just about sustainable in her bot lane on her own, Chucky starts hopping out around Summoner's Rift, helps out his jungler, finding even more kills, even more leads, and pivotally starting those fights that wins them the game.
Landing so many hooks throughout the course of the past 25 minutes was so amazing, and it's happened on both sides now. It was really weird to watch this game, actually, because Chucky's was doing so well, and I still had echoes of Dawnbray doing so well on the Nautilus in my mind as well. And so we've seen this pick traded off twice now, and I suspect that in Game 3, we're going to see it picked up again, and there may even be a small kerfuffle over it, because you and I both know, at least, that 100 Thieves have opted into having the first pick this time and have swapped into that blue side.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that we're going to see the B1 Nautilus come through, but that's certainly something that would be that'd be
Mark my
fairly
words.
entertaining, honestly. That'd be pretty cool, right? But either way, we know there is a lot of priority around the Nautilus pick, and I wonder who's going to get their hands on it because so far, like we say, has been game changing.
Yeah, and there have been so many picks like that, Zed, the Jace, that I'm expecting we will see, if not banned away, adapted to in this game. You've got the preview from us, and as you talked about, Rudude, we are just waiting on that little bit of a draft. So what we're going to do over here at Unified is we're going to take a very short break, make sure that all our players are set up, and then we'll be right back in with the draft of game number 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've been waiting a long time for this, and so we will hold it up no longer. Technical issues resolved. We now jump into the draft phase of 100 Thieves next versus Team Ambition. Game 3. If you've just gotten here, it has been 100 Thieves next win one game, Team Ambition win the next with a Zed jungle again, in case you missed it. So now, let's see how things change moving into Game 3.
And off the back of junglers just dominating in terms of what they want to accomplish and succeeding with it here, we have got ourselves a new draft though, dear. We'll have plenty of time to reminisce, but we have hopped straight on in so that we waste no time. And Zed has been banned away in a proving grounds closed circuit qualifier game. Incredible scenes and a blue side Caitlyn ban as well here from 100 Thieves. I think that they're going to just stick to what they've been doing and what worked for them. 5 out of the 5 games in the open qualifiers, 6 here. They just put Array, potentially even on Jhin here, keep him nice and safe, potentially take the Nautilus as well that we've seen be fairly high priority. Jinx ban on one side. It's all adding up here. You wanted a B1 Nautilus. I'm not sure we're going to get quite that level of priority. But, you know, the AD carries here have been pinched. We've still got a Phelios that exists. And actually, a Viego lock-in for Fnatic. He has been playing this Viego. He's already had 2 of the games in open qualifiers. But this is one of those champions that in team fights, in skirmishes as well, has a load of power because those resets, even post, pre-level 6 are great. Post level 6 are undeniably powerful.
Yeah, I really like this pickup, and while it may not be the Nautilus of my dreams, it doesn't seem like Team Ambition are too focused on taking it away either. They end up locking in the Karmas. That's another champion that's been traded back and forth in the support role, despite the first 2 games not having too much in the way of good for her. Hecarim also being considered here, but Team Ambition are approaching this in a vastly different way than 100 Thieves next are, instead going for that long range and what looks like going for a bot lane quite early on, if their history is anything to go by.
Yeah, Nemesis can play this Syndra in the mid lane as well, but Nightstar's been picking up the Syndra a couple times already. And obviously 100 Thieves next going to be more than aware of this. The power of red side, of course, that Team Ambition now have for themselves is that they can save this right until the very end. Love the Leona pickup here for Dombre. Just exactly the sort of wheelhouse that we expect. If he ends up going out on roams, he's going to be doing more than enough in terms of the CC, the setup as well. Durability early stages is exactly what we hope to see from this support, and Jhin for Array, couldn't have asked for anything better. Again, we've seen how strong he is on this weak side, allowing Sniper, Insanity and Fnatic to be the carry forces that are making the plays happen. And we saw it in game number 1 where he wasn't given particularly many resources, but he was able to do a lot with the little that he did get.
Yes, Talon as well. We are going back to tried and true, not just for 100 Thieves next, but for Team Ambition as well. This is looking a lot like game 1, with the notable exception, of course, of the Viego that started all of this. But now, moving into the second phase of bans, we're curious as to what gets taken away, especially by Team Ambition, who, well, would like to get themselves either a winning mid lane or winning top lane, but are likely going to have to pick between them before too long. And I like the way that they focus, at least at the moment, taking away things like the Aurelia that we already know Sniper can pop off on.
Exactly, just denying a few of those picks up in the top side. Yes, the Jace ban gets taken away once again as anticipated. Potentially another Riven to follow up here. What Team Ambition I'm a little bit cautious for is that they're falling into game 1 habits here. And remind you that they did lose game number 1. It wasn't pretty. They were able to go fairly toe-to-toe in the early stages, but they're missing some hardcore scaling aspects right now. 100 Thieves next probably going to have, you know, those traditional tried and true compositions on their side, but Team Ambition still still need to utilize some of these picks to get themselves that hardcore scaling aspect through. They can still easily transition this Syndra into the mid lane, pick up something like an Aphelios, which is going to scale very well with a Karma at his back pocket as well, trying to dish out the damage later on. But for now, I imagine just pick a top laner, save your flex pick here to keep you nice and safe, at least in this top side as well. Hopefully, you know, all fits right within that wheelhouse for Decoy. He's already played it once so far in the open qualifiers, takes it once again here, and now we get to see what Team Ambition get to do with that R5 pick. And most importantly now, dear, what does General Sniper want to take into this on? Because there's a plethora of choices. Things like the Renekton, the Aatrox still exist, things that we've seen him play before. Could get even spicier if he fancies.
I actually really would like an Aatrox here. It would still give you a lot of the beef that 100 Thieves already have in spades, but at the same time, Corki, a very safe mid laner, will delay that choice just a little bit longer because mid lane was always going to be blind, and Corki is an excellent choice. This Tryndamere being hovered is getting me a little excited, and so is the Riven. And, oh god, Rudude, right now, it is all suspense, because if this gets locked in, it is 100 Thieves taking this game on with style. Even the Aatrox right now, an excellent choice. Does still give you those extra style points.
It does, and gives him, obviously, that really good laning phase versus an on as well. You're very much expected to take the win here in this one. Yasuo comes through here. So this is just, again, another, and this is just flex picks. Like, they're not going to know until those, you know, couple seconds are locked on in who's going to be going mid lane, who's going to be going bot lane. It looks like, at least I expect with TP, that your Syndra's going to be the one heading down to the bot lane. If you're taking Yasuo into a bot lane, you maybe want one of those combat summoner spells here for, you know, for the duels that potentially could come through, particularly with a Jhin Leona. Lockdown is something that there is in abundance here, and the ability to wind wall Jhin, obviously something that you do, and obviously makes it very scary for the Jhin player as well, that he needs to be cognizant of making those force shots come through, and if you can get it past the wind wall more so than anything else.
Now, Yasuo into double marksman or into double ranged at all. Very, very high value. I like that we see it picked up, although I will say, Rudude, it's a little unorthodox. We don't see that much Yasuo played, especially not in situations like that where you don't have 18 knockups. You really only have Yasuo and Ornn. This isn't a composition built around the mid lane. This isn't one where Nemesis should be 1v9ing. So talk to me a little bit about this Yasuo, because we saw Yone in game 1. Why the change up?
I think that here you can actually do a very good job at taking trades up against Insanity as well here, using that sweeping blade for either dash for Yasuo. You should never really get hit by phosphorus bombs. You can sort of dodge out on all of those rockets as well as we get later and later into the game. If you have a minion wave to work with, the Yasuo should be feeling fairly comfortable to try and take those trades. And if you have that winning lane, we talked amply about what Anticipation needs from his laners here. It's a stable place to play from. They're going to have pushing bot lane here with the Syndra and the Karma, so there's another avenue for Anticipation to use there. And if Nemesis can find success, then he's going to be able to facilitate Anticipation once more to be that carry force in the early stages that we know he can be. My concern here is on the Team Ambition side, because this is a very similar style composition that they ran in game number 1, and we've got some of the same pitfalls from that game 1 here in this game number 3, where again, if we look at the late game damage, it's coming from double melee sort of AD bruiser styles of, we're going to get maybe Death Dance and Sterax on this Talon, and then a Syndra who's going to have to deal with Aatrox, Viego, Leona, all jumping on them, and then you've got Karma and Ornn to be frontline / support. It's not the easiest composition for Team Ambition to execute, where 100 Thieves next, they've got just, again, incredibly standard double marksman, frontline in spades here. The Viego as a bruiser, the Aatrox as well is going to be causing so much chaos for the backline that just isn't matched on the Team Ambition side.
Now, question for you as well, because I'm looking at 100 Thieves next, and I see that Aatrox Viego that definitely warped this game, mostly since game 1. The Corki, the Jhin, and the Leona maintaining relatively the same roles. It's really the top side that 100 Thieves next has changed up. And a question that I have here is sort of, does this Aatrox specifically, and Viego secondarily, require that you build up some sort of grievous wounds moving into that late game, or should you be able to get away without them as Team Ambition?
Well, that's a very short answer, dear. Yes. You need grievous wounds. There we go. Case in point. Now, the beauty for Team Ambition is that Chukis can actually go into Chemtech Putrefier, and then that sort of eliminates the need for those fairly later on into the game, and you can tend to buy more statistically efficient items more so than anything else. Decoy most likely going to be opting toward a Bramble Vest as well, so you have that secondary source if you end up finding Fnatic and Sniper trying to wail on the Ornn in these team fights. Not supposed to be the case, but if it happens, there's that there as well.
Yeah, you gotta have that contingency plan, eh? And well,
Yeah.
contingency, safety, that's what both these teams are all about right now. 5-man spreads from both of them, with Anti just now hitting the map once more. Sweeper in hand is going to be starting up towards the top side, it seems, as will Fnatic. So both junglers seeming like they're going to be pathing down towards their bot lane, seeing if they can get a little bit started over there. And in this case, I really like the gank assist from both Dawnbray and Nightstar. Both these guys can provide a lot to their junglers.
They can. Stuns on demand, really. If you can line up that skill shot, you're able to lock up and allow for this Viego, for this Talon to get into your lane. A really good chance here that they've got a opportunity to sort of put them, there's a really good chance that they can put themselves here in a skirmish position. All right, the bot side fight really going to come through a lot for the junglers pathing down there.
Now, as we sort of try and figure out what the dynamic of the early game is going to be, one of the things that we've already talked about, but needs to, I think, be prefaced, is going to be the fact that we've seen these two junglers dictate things very differently, but most of the time it's been Fnatic on somebody who is a little bit more enabling. One of my big curiosities moving into this game is on the Viego, who can make this game about him. Whether he ends up taking that same route as the Jarvan as the Zin's out and trying to prop up his teammates, or whether he's a little bit more willing to call, like we've already seen Anti do in Game 2, for a few more of those resources that we already know Viego can make use of, with junglers matching each other early, and with lanes that should be, I will say, relatively even until impacted by a jungler. A big part of this is going to be about who is the better early game shot caller, and who can get away with those cheeky little advantages between Anti and Fnatic.
Yeah, and I think that if you've obviously got these laners that are taking these skirmishes, a lot of that does depend on a lot of your jungle.
I can't hear you, Rooted.
Oh,
this is
okay.
this is difficult. We're going to assume that Rooted is saying very, very kind things. I can kind of hear you. You're very, very quiet.
How about this? Okay. We're going to hope that everything's fine on your end, on this end as well. Beautiful. That's what we love to hear. But if you're talking about then what we're looking for from our junglers, you're talking about the micro or the macro shot calling here. We've got a fight already at level 1. Apologies for the technical delays or technical issues on my end, but we should be all fixed anyway. We're looking to see how these micro skirmishes, is what I wanted to be saying, how these trades are going, because that really does impact you and impact your ability as a jungler, right? You have this pushing, this winning lane down in the bot lane, all of a sudden you have free reign to go take the bot crab to potentially find a little bit more, as I think that's Zenith Blade connected.
And just like you say, those small trades, those small skirmishes ever being fished for by Dawnbray in the bot side. A lot safer on the Leona this time than he was on the Karma just last game. And as we've got a little bit of action up towards the top side as well, Sniper, who already had a huge difference made inside of Game 2 in the Gwen into Set matchup, now has the chance to do a very similar thing with the Aatrox into Ornn matchup. Yes, Ornn is always going to be useful, as we already saw Decoy prove to us in that Set Gwen matchup. Your tank will still be able to contribute massively, but the amount that Aatrox can get ahead can seem to be almost doubled in value, especially towards that mid game rather than the late game.
Yeah, Aatrox in the late game gets a little bit memed on because of quite how easy he can be to kite, and if we get these Karma Shields on at sort of 5-6 second cooldown, even the Syndra, who's fairly susceptible to being jumped upon, can become fairly easy to dodge out on those skill shots, dodge out on the Aatrox. But of course, this is Sniper piloting the Aatrox. We've seen him play it already in the open qualifiers, looked very comfortable, and once again here going to be looking to put it into good use from this top lane. And I like that you bring up Decoy, because you know he's been the rock of the top lane for Team Ambition, regardless of the composition they've been going for. I'm glad to see him back on a tank as opposed to the Karma, and that is the leading difference for me between their Game 1 draft and the Game 3 draft here. The Game 1 that they ended up losing, and now they've come into this Game number 3 with a tank in the top lane for Decoy, something that he feels much more comfortable and much more at home with, and you can really tell that he feels what his role is when he plays these style of champions. You know, the Karma potentially a little bit lost in the sort of what he's looking for. But on this on, he knows exactly where to be, exactly how to enable his teammates. And coming into those team fights, it's exactly what he wants to be doing.
Yeah, he's always been, or at least in the open qualifiers, about bringing that beef to the Rift, and now he's really got the chance to. Nightstar, taking a bit of an early recall, is trying to grab a little bit more wave clear as well, and is going to be able to come back to lane with the amplifying tome already. Shoki's on a roam as well, is looking for a bit of a play, while Anti ends up resetting in the mid lane. We're getting the building blocks of the mid game set up now, and nobody is setting them up harder than Sniper up here. Well, Decoy decides to trade back and gets a really nice bit on the Ornn. It is a battle of intimidation in the top side.
It really is. It's going to be scary for
Oh, another one. Oh, he flash.
But what does this cost him? Now Sniper has no flash. Anticipation's here. Can Diego get there in time? It doesn't look like it.
No, Sniper shouldn't have the healing to go through this, and the cheeky early play does land a second knockup, but doesn't ultimately save him. Sniper looks good, but not good enough to survive the 1v2, and unfortunately for him, the lack of vision really came back to bite him.
I think it's more so the presence of Talon. He's able to cheat vision. You can see that there's a ward in the Tri-Brush. There's the Scuttle Crab may have just been taken, in fairness. But your ability to sort of hop over walls, cheat through the vision that has been put down. Yeah, that crab was there the entire time. So he's just able to hop over and take him down. Now Decoy, oh no.
This one we might be able to call a potential lack of vision. Decoy definitely not too happy right now, and Dombray's got that stun up one more time. Decoy, having burned the flash earlier, will go down, and while this doesn't end up assisting Sniper directly, what it does do is burn the teleport of his laner and ultimately put this Aatrox further and further ahead, while giving that kill over to Fnatic. It's a win-win for 100 Thieves.
Well, we have now got the Bramble Vest here over on the Ornn. So again, the smallest of sacrifices to be made for his own life right now. Chuki starts up the Raptors. It is all completely on vision. But as we get later and later into this game, then we touched on sort of the drawbacks that we imagine Team Ambition are going to fall into. 100 Thieves next have got this, once again, really strong, stable poke composition, along with a good source of engage. This Leona for Dombray should be able to get the engages going and then enable Fnatic and Sniper to pop World Ender, pop the Harrowed Path, and force your way into the backline. So we're hoping that, early game poke set up by Array.
Dawnbreak going forward there does pop the Aftershock and the Eclipse at the same time, taking essentially 0 damage with what appears to be a Kayle ultimate on a cooldown. I am by no means giving a lot of favor over to Leonas in this world. Rudude, that my dislike of Eclipse is very heavily rooted.
Yeah, I mean, you called it a Kayle ult. Everybody can tell you're not like inherently incorrect, apart from the fact that you kind of are. Now, unfortunately, yeah.
Seems like this may not save you. Dawnbray, though, does dive forward, and Fnatic's taking his own fight, but he doesn't have the level 6 that Anti does, so he gets chunked out a little bit earlier. Stun comes in from Dawnbray, and 100 Thieves ultimately all right. Well, the play did not go in their favor. They didn't lose anything, and the counter gank was effective if Anti still might be able to get something over by the Dragon.
We didn't get to see it, but Flash forced in the mid lane as well by Insanity getting the better end of a trade in the mid lane here. So Nemesis hasn't got a flash to his own name now, which could lead him to being fairly susceptible to being ganked. But a really good trade down on the bot side that does go the way of Team Ambition, able to force out Summon a Heal and the, force the back away really from 100 Thieves next between the jungle and the bot laners. And it's good to see these early skirmishes coming through for Team Ambition. If they want to win this game, they need to find those leads early. That's what we asked from them in game number 1. They weren't able to perform it. Game number 3 here, it's no different. We need to see them start trying to find these early leads, put themselves in a position where that late game scaling of the poke that comes through from Corki and Jhin just isn't relevant.
at this point. It's extremely difficult for Team Ambition to find a way to pull that trigger unless they've got Decoy around. The lockdown just isn't present on most of their members, and that's where the teleport burned earlier, and honestly the fact that it isn't unleashed just yet is going to be biting them ever so slightly. I'm waiting until we get over towards those dragons that Anti declined to take earlier for the team fights to really break out, but if you really want to, I wouldn't mind Team Ambition getting up towards this Rift Herald were it not already started by Fnatic.
And mid-tier 1 has been a facet of these games that 100 Thieves Next have focused time and time again. Rift Herald is such an enabling factor at trying to take those down. Now Anticipation wants to try and stop this.
Get ulted on by Decoy, though, and instantly Sniper just gets deleted. Anticipation may have wanted the Rift Herald, but he got something much better as Nemesis. Looks like he's going to manage to get away. One more tick of the Ignite, not quite going to take him down, and the Missile not doing it either. Nightstar does get a really nice double stun, and now flashes over with the Unleashed Power, taking Insanity out. It's a single kill, but it evens up the kill scores for Team Ambition.
Nightstar with the really big roam, taking down Insanity, sort of alleviating a bit of that pressure from the mid lane. Nemesis has been having a pretty rough time of it there, has been keeping even in CS, but the trades, much worse stories to be told on that side. And Array down on the spot side as well, able to pretty much collect free farm and force himself to get at least an unanswered wave. You can see the defensive nature of this Jin's build path already. The Mercury Treads rush up against this double AP bot lane, certainly going to be doing him a good service for now. We'll just wait till Nemesis and Anti get on him. Let's see how he feels about that then.
That one's going to be really rough. I am very curious about the way that Anti plays out fights on the Talon as well, since we already got the chance to see how he wanted to play it in Game 1. It didn't feel that great, but Game 2, he definitely demonstrated an ability to position on these assassin junglers that he's so proud of, and that at the very least has given me quite a bit of faith moving into this third and final game between these two titans. 100 Thieves Next and Team Ambition 1-1 right now, dead even in the gold, and Anti still looking for jungles, looking for jungle camps, looking for ganks, looking for any small advantage to convert those inches into miles.
Yeah, Nemesis here chunked to about 60% of HP, so this 2v2 going to be very difficult for Team Ambition. And I was about to say, guys, take a quick screenshot because we're, post 5 minutes and Dombre is still in the bot lane. That is not something that we've been too accustomed to, and already now looking to try and make these roams happen. This is sort of how 100 Thieves Next tend to generate their advantage. It's through overloading one side of the map, utilizing Dombre to do so, but he could be caught.
Yeah, right there. Last Whisper does chunk out the Leona, and a beautiful wind wall keeps an answer from coming back. Nemesis jumping forward instead with millions of shields on top of him. Gets those kills and gets away with the assist from Nightstar. A setup started by 100 Thieves Next turns into a dragon for Team Ambition.
Say what you will, Nemesis was absolutely styling right there, dip, duck, dodging and diving around Windwall placed to perfection. 100 Thieves Next couldn't get anywhere near him. He was on such a low HP total for the majority of the back end of that play, but he just lives, starting this one out at 60%. Yeah, I was thinking, okay, piling everything into the Eclipse Aftershock Leona, we've seen this one before, it doesn't tend to go well, but a really clutch exhaust from Chukis as well. Finds a knock up onto Fnatic, and there we have it, folks. He gets out to safety, the Triumph actually coming in as well, and once again, another good roam from Nightstar, puts himself into a position that helps out his team once again. One of those pitfalls that we've seen from 100 Thieves Next is that Array doesn't tend to roam out with the squad, tends to just make sure that he's safe for himself down on the bot side because he gets no resources, wants to absorb as much gold as possible. But Nightstar twice now has been more than willing to give up a wave, give up a little bit of territory in the bot lane to roam into the river and pick up a kill for himself.
And it's turned into so much for his team as well. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kills on the board for them. They couldn't be happier, and with plenty to fight over in the coming minutes, with Dragon up quite soon in the next few, we are going to get even more of a bloodbath across this game, and it's one that until now Team Ambition were in the driver's seat of. Will this Rift Herald change things?
4v4 in the mid lane, TP's not going to be able to be utilized. Oh, he has to flash. Okay, forcing that one out. Now we're going to get decoy basing, and whether he TP's up to the top lane or not may be fairly significant of what's going to happen. He actually calls for the Ornhorn and clears out the majority of that top wave here with it. Sniper not going to be able to finish this one off, but Fnatic's here nearby. Maybe could go for this dive. They're going to be denying something.
With Decoy absorbing so much pressure, though, we'll see what you can get for it right now. Nobody's really in any position to do so, and there we go. Infernal Chain's going to come in, whipping Decoy right back into place, but no dive going to come through as Nemesis has started to walk up, and 100 Thieves choose that safe play instead, burning a lot of time up topside to ultimately not get that much.
3 versus 2 down on this bot side of the Rift as well. Insanity been locked in mid.
Now jumping back onto Donbray, and he should be able to get out, goes invisible, but gets stunned, gets slowed, and now will get stunned again. It is death for this Talon, as he can't do anything, but still does manage to burn that. Whoo, Lord! Heal from Array, getting out alive. 100 Thieves pick up yet another kill on a fight that Team Ambition started.
Array living with a slither of health right there. Red Smite, plus the red buff, plus the Talon Bleed, and Ignite as well. That was about 400 or 500 tick damage that came through after he was already dead. Really good utilization of the Summon Heal to keep himself alive there, and ultimately is a 1-for-0 on a slightly overextended Talon in the jungle. TP was expended by Sniper to get down into that bot lane, so that is a tool that is not going to be in their arsenal for the next 4 minutes or so. And potentially there's an opportunity to try and capitalize. We've seen currently that there was a little bit of focus toward this Aatrox in the top side. It was to get kills onto Anticipation onto this Talon. You know, the Ornn still down in CS, but he's having a really good time, and we've seen once again how well Decoy can play from behind, just to be that tank player, the role player more so than anything else, and facilitate the team in team fights. So far for Team Ambition, we asked them to see if they could put themselves out in front, and they've started that. They're not quite as far ahead as I might like them to be, but they've got every stepping stone in place to start taking those leaps.
Yeah, I am loving the way that Team Ambition are playing this out right now, and it is slow, it is steady, but it's definitely yielding them a lot of results. Let's see that continue as we jump right back into this game. Now that we've got everything all updated, we'll get the chance to see how 100 Thieves, with the way they've been trying to wrestle this game back, continue forward, as it's been a tough one for them, but not one that they can afford to lose, Rudude.
And once again, right, this is obviously, as you mentioned, not a game that anybody was expecting 100 Thieves next to lose, but equally, it's not a game that they have to do particularly a lot in. Okay, a shotgun scatter doesn't quite come through right there, but Nightstar chunks out Array as he just gets back to the laning phase. But yeah, like I was saying, right, this is a composition for 100 Thieves. They don't need to win the game in the next 10 minutes or so. They have that scaling advantage. So for Team Ambition, the onus always going to be on them to try and make something happen, to force those leads, force those advantages. And at the moment, 1.5k gold in front, 1 dragon to their name as well. Next Herald is up for taking. We'll have to see if they can get any priority on that whatsoever.
And we've got just a few minutes now for 100 Thieves to be able to set up that vision that I know that we've spoken of, especially in Game 1. But that time, it was on the side of Team Ambition. They needed to be the ones tracking Fnatic. With 100 Thieves now ever so slightly on the back foot, it is they that need to be putting in that deep vision, and they, at the same time, that don't have a whole lot of it right now. A little bit of exclusive vision around this Rift Herald will mean that Fnatic gets to pick this one up, this time not costing Sniper his life. Let's see where it goes.
Mid lane tier 1, as we've said time and time again, has been the breaking point for 100 Thieves next. It is what's facilitated them and let them take their win in game number 1. It's what also set them up to look good for the mid stages of game number 2, and I expect that during game number 3 here, their priorities will be no different. Now looking to see if they can force this mid lane turret down. 1 Herald charge will do the job. There's 4 people here. They're going.
The flash from Donbray changes everything. The flank from Sniper does so as well, but Nightstar still survives for so long. Finally going down. Zanti enters the fight, instantly gets CC'd, and is being chased down by the very same folks that started this fight. When Insanity, when a Corki is chasing a Talon, you know things have gone horribly wrong, as they have just now for Team Ambition.
The whole purpose of this Ornn Yasuo composition is to find these team fights as well, but Yasuo's not their nemesis, wasn't ready in position. He's taking the Ignite this time round and not the teleport, so he can't find those big engages, and it leaves Anti to be the solo diver in this exchange. And ultimately, they lose out on the fight. They lose out on their mid lane tier 1 as well. They do manage to pick up a Constellation Dragon, but unfortunately for them, they've low-rolled the Soul here. Cloud Soul not anywhere near the powerhouse that any of the others would be.
Sniper jumping over the wall now will find it difficult to catch Anti, who can jump over just as many walls, if not more. So as Talon gets out to safety with a little bit of extra gold, it's more of a, hey, I knew you were there, and don't you mess with me, than anything else from Sniper. Sitting at 145 CS right now. This Aatrox has had a great laning phase so far, but it's just now started to convert things, and does need to be a lot more of what we just saw in the mid lane if Sniper wants to have the impact that we know he can on this game.
2 Drakes already secured for Team Ambition. If they can work their way toward that Soul quickly, they're going to be wanting to take an Elder pretty soon, since that is their best route toward a win condition. Also just trying to fight Vision.
Instant lock-up, more lock-up, stun after stun after stun, and Nightstar just cannot play the game. He gets taken out in the mid lane, and though there's no objective to get for it instantly, why not just follow it up with even more lockdown?
Go for all the fights that they can get right here. That pick started off of a captive audience. The small traps that Jhin can place around Summoner's Rift slows up Nightstar. He finds the Deadly Flourish, and really well capitalized on by Dombre. Wastes no time firing off that Solar Flare. Now Decoy could be in a lot of trouble up on this top side.
Leaves Anti with no time himself to be able to keep his Krug safe, be able to keep his top lane safe, and for that singular pick that we saw go off in the mid lane, they end up losing so much more. An extra jungle camp as well as a top lane tower, but now Insanity in trouble. Manages to just barely Valkyrie out. Dawnbreak getting knocked up though, does start to warp this game as he pops the Eclipse, and will buy quite a bit of time before ultimately going down. Nemesis being the one, I suppose, to collect the kill.
Certainly looks that way. Finally collects it. He tried to use Last Breath as a taxi there, but a really good stun from Dombre just the second that he landed means that the Insanity also able to get out to safety here. A lot of overloading in this top lane right now is giving Sniper a lot of free time to take this turret and take a lot of gold as well on the other side of Summoner's Rift. And this Aatrox, like we've said, as the game gets later and later, or as we get into the mid-game really, he's going to have an absolute powerhouse of team fighting. But further on than that, may start to struggle. So we're starting to reach the peaks, the pinnacles of when an Aatrox will be, super useful in these exchanges. But obviously this Corki and this Jhin surviving, living to fight another day, and not the ones being slain. They can continue to farm, continue to scale up, and Nemesis here, he's still got ult.
Could be pretty dangerous. Knockup does land, but ultimately Insanity is able to survive through some miracle, dude. Keeping that mid lane tower up, 100 Thieves keep that additional pressure that they had as well, and with all the outer turrets gone from Team Ambition, there's not really a whole lot of safety available for Nemesis to step up with. Shookies is going to be roaming around with Nightstar, keeping him safe, making sure the waves can be cleared, but the side lane is what it is all about for Team Ambition to get even more gold on this Yasuo.
I wonder if they'll start to match the Yasuo up against the Aatrox and start to take those, pretty much just an ego duel, unfortunately. No Executioners on the Yasuo just yet, so those 1v1s are not going to be particularly easy to take with the amount of healing that Sniper can absorb. And if you find the weave there, the Yasuo may well still come out on top. But the power of side laning here with this talent in your squad, just how versatile he can get to Summoner's Rift.
Knockup, we got a last breath, we might have a solo kill, but Insanity is sidestepping after sidestepping and does it again! This guy's shoes are insane as he dances around Nemesis, pulls in Decoy, and ends up serving up a second kill to his squad. This Ornn is not long for the world, and as Fnatic grabs that kill, Baron may very well be on the table.
A small part of me thought that Insanity would live there, but 100 Thieves get rewarded here for the commitment onto their mid laner, able to collect on 2 of the solo laner bounties here. Not really. This is okay. Nemesis starts off well, gets himself the knockup, sustains it, gets a nice blade, fair blade as well, and yeah, Insanity 2 Qs dodged, third ulti there. Unfortunately, Bellows Breath pseudo targeted, unfortunately, toward the Corki, and then obviously it is going to be Decoy just getting whittled down on. No Baron taken as a consequence of this. does mean that there's still more than a hope here for Team Ambition. Gold pretty much even. These Drakes now starting to be stacked up. It's 100 Thieves that have got priority, and Nemesis up in that top lane. There is little to no answer here for Team Ambition. Happily sacrificing this in exchange for trying to put more resources into their mid laner. We're yet to see the Ornn Yasuo combo fully used, but when it happens, dear, I expect explosive team fights to happen.
Yeah, and it's got to be really the difference maker for Team Ambition. If they're getting the Ornn Yasuo combo onto one or two members of the backline, sure, they can win the fight. And if they're not, I'm sorry, but it's looking really difficult at this point. 100 Thieves are more than happy to take these front to backs. They opt into another one right now. Insanity cuts the fight in half and instantly gets exhausted with that package. But even so, it isn't enough as Anti gets deleted. Shookies follows, and Donbray, who knows no breaks, continues to jump forward, ultimately signing the death warrant of Nightstar, who, though he went golden, could not survive that fight.
Dear, just as I mentioned, the way that Team Ambition needs to take the team fight, they do the exact opposite. Ornn and Yasuo in side lanes, not ready to join the team as they go for a wander through the 100 Thieves next jungle. They get punished, and they are going to lose the Baron because of it here. Nothing to stop their 100x roster from taking down the big purple worm and putting themselves now in a very good spot. Let's take another look at this, because Donbray, blind E into the brush, more than capable at taking that. Insanity with a package is shredding through Anti, and Insanity's Immortal Shield bow actually doing a great amount of work there, keeping him alive. A great pick, a great execution from the 100x squad, and they are well rewarded.
Donbray is such a god on initiators, by the way. I want to see this for the rest of my life. I want to keep having this guy show up with the Nautilus, with the Leona, because the engages that he is finding are incredible. I honestly almost wish that Shookies had a Nautilus himself this game so that we could see these two big engagers trading back and forth, but as it is, it has just been Donbray's time to shine, and it may very well be again as he pops that Eclipse in the front line, burning the ultimate from Anti and keeping everybody behind him safe as 100 Thieves next set up their incoming push in not one but two lanes.
Yeah, Shadow Assault is a fairly short cooldown, so it's not the worst case scenario here for Anti to have to pop that ult and keep himself safe. Much more valuable than being dead, obviously. But with that Baron working two lanes, they are now transitioning their way through the top side and controlling that vision that we talked about. There's a distinctive line on both sides. Let's start fishing here, try and find an engage. Let's see this Ornn Yasuo combo. Let's group up as 5 Team Ambition. Give us the team fight that we've been longing for right now. See if they can put themselves out in lead.
Oh no, Anti goes on the hunt, but he didn't have the ultimate up just yet. Donbray locks him down. Fnatic takes him out, and now top lane tier 2 all but gone. Mid lane tier 2 sure to follow if it isn't gone already. 100 Thieves next get themselves so much more gold, and now so much more map pressure to continue with as well.
How do they generate leads, dear? It is by choking out the vision. Donbray sneaks into a pocket where they don't know. He is able to quickly stun up Anti. The damage through from Fnatic finishes off the job. Windwall is going to save this mid-tier 3 for the time being, but one more wave to come through. You expect that one will fall. Now with Fnatic sort of posturing aggressively here, this top tier 3 as well, vastly under siege. 100 Thieves next, they've done a very good job at finding themselves a chokehold, an avenue here into the base. They've not been able to crack it open though, and for now, Team Ambition's base stands strong. They have still got this opportunity, 2 items on the Ornn, 2 items on your Yasuo. We're waiting for that Infinity Edge to come through, dear, but it is a long way away.
It is a very tall order to be able to keep this Yasuo alive until such a point that he can do the dirty things that we know he can. With Anti trying to farm up in the side lane, resources are coming at a premium as well, Rudude, and that's the very difficult thing about late game scenarios where you find yourself behind. Because yes, Anti wants gold, Nightstar wants gold, Nemesis wants gold, with 3 different people and not nearly enough lanes to access. Somebody from Team Ambition is going to suffer.
And typically that falls to your jungler, but we know what Team Ambition value more so than anything else, and it is this Talon and how much his damage will be providing to the squad. Now, of course, with another Drake spawning in about 20 seconds, all attention has been removed from Team Ambition space, and it looks like 100 Thieves next are just going to focus on getting themselves a little bit of extra movement speed here out of combat for the most part, which just enables them once again, A, to sort of avoid the Talon, but B, to get from lane A to lane B, particularly when they're going for these picks.
Donbray once again starting things off with the solar flare and the threat of Array as well with that deadly flourish. Keeps everybody at bay. Is very, very scary to have so much lockdown on a team. And at this point, with Chucky's being flashless, even with no Baron, 100 Thieves next are going to start walking this one in. You've got the push going off in bot lane with Nemesis taking a tower up there. Insanity runs to meet him. Let's see what happens towards this bot side.
Oh, huge scatter actually prevents the engage coming through and package into the top lane.
Okay, if this fight goes well. Seems like they're okay for right now. I'm looking at the health bars. Nemesis is a little bit low. Dragon gonna continue falling, but take a look at the bottom left of your screen, and oh my lord! Nemesis almost manages to take that fight as there's a teleport just down to the bot lane one more time. Nightstar wants to finish off Insanity, and he will, burning the ultimate to do so. So it is gonna be a 1-for-1, but I would still give the edge over to 100 Thieves.
Yeah, they collect themselves the objective, and that's the most important part. Nightstar may not even be out right now. Chucky's is here trying to save him, but he may well be sacrificing himself as well.
Sniper just needs the single knock-up. Turns away, though, with that World Ender burning. It seems like in the meantime, we've got a cheeky assassination from Anti, who has managed to take down Array, but he does go down himself as well. Yet another 1-for-1, hitting the Rift, and Fnatic looking for ever so slightly more. Thought about going on to Nightstar, and popped right back out with the Heartbreaker, knowing that 100 Thieves need to find a reset, need to start their own plays again as one.
Crucial timing here for this 1-for-1 though. Anti dead whilst the Baron is about to come through. It's about a minute away from spawning, and this is that little pick. Anti, see? He gets a little pocket of vision.
Oh my god.
And just walks on through, yeah. Even with Gale Force, even with Zhonya's. And the flash from Donbray. They expend so much to try and keep him alive, but the Rake finishes him off. He knows he's suiciding himself to death, but taking out an AD carry in these late game instances, honestly, very valuable.
I respect it. I actually really like the move from Anti there, and I like how hard 100 Thieves tried, because they know just as well as we do how valuable Array's life is and how important it is to keep Anti down when they can. Now with no stopwatch available on either Array or Insanity, both these carries are vulnerable to the burst of this Talon, and tracking him is going to be one of 100 Thieves' #1 priorities as they now approach the Baron as their next objective they'd like to take.
Baron is really hard for 100 Thieves here, because if they stand there as like 5 members, it just lines up Decoy, lines up Nemesis to start off that fight that they've been so longing for the longest time here. The good thing is for 100 Thieves next is that they've got things like Valkyrie and Gale Force, so dodging out on Ornn ult isn't going to be the most difficult thing for them that you may have anticipated, and it's sort of a 50-50 here. If you want to utilize those cooldowns to dodge out on that engage, which you know, by the way, decidedly do, you then no longer have them for a skirmish that could come through, and then you still have the things like decoys, searing charge, for example, to try and find and engage with. Playing little vision wars right now. Anti jumps over.
I really like the Ornn Horn to try and follow this up, but unfortunately for Team Ambition, it isn't gonna connect, and that, at the very least, may buy them space, but won't buy them a one-team fight, at least not on their terms. Their form of lockdown is now gone, and Donbray, the form of lockdown for 100 Thieves next. He is on a line, jumping forward, leaving Sniper in the front line, but a last breath takes Nemesis directly on top of Insanity. Flash over the wall from him, keeps him alive, but now Donbray is all alone and does manage to go down as Fnatic and Sniper rejoin the fight in the river. However, it is 100 Thieves that surround Team Ambition and take themselves yet another kill up towards the top side as Decoy seems to be going low, and Nemesis is sure to die here.
Donbray finding engage after engage here. He picks off the
die.
enemy bot laner. Wait,
Sorry, continue.
He did die, dear.
Nemesis doesn't die.
Oh, Nemesis doesn't die. Fortunately enough, they've chased him away from the Baron right now, and that should be the prize. Anti did die. There is no jungler ready to steal this one. Another engage started off by the 100 Thieves support. It does make you wonder, dear, why we've had Karma Prio.
He tried, didn't quite get it, and now, well, Chucky's not quite able to lock down Sniper either. 100 Thieves get away with the Baron. With the, I'll say, one team fight pretty darn convincingly. And now with this, should be able to move themselves into the base. It has been a remarkable past couple minutes from 100 Thieves. And nothing impressing me more than the way that they managed that Baron fight.
Yeah, just meticulous in their approach, honestly. The way that they can just solo out specific targets. And I have to keep praising Dombre, because on the Nautilus game in game number 1, he was finding those engages. Leo now, somebody steps a millimeter too far forward, a hair out of line. Thank you very much. That's Leona ulti. I don't care if you've got Crown of the Shattered Queen. I've got CC that lasts for just as long, and I've got a team ready at my back, ready to jump on forward, take you down as soon as that one drops off. That damage mitigation doesn't last forever, and the second that it goes away, you already know that 100 Thieves next day are more than ready to pounce. Zhonya's be damned, he's not able to survive that one. That's one of those solar flares that you just have to flash immediately. It feels rough to flash a random ulti, but you just have to. It's the only way to live, and unfortunately, now we're seeing the repercussions of that team ambition. They've lost out on the Baron now. They lost out on a couple kills extra, and this game, in case it wasn't hard enough in this late game stage, is now even more difficult because they've got to battle up against super minions when their wave clear is suboptimal at best, and deal with the ever-present threat of a late game Corki and a late game Jhin.
We see how scary these late games are on everybody as well. From Dombre being able to constantly try and find engages, to Insanity being able to pump out, well, insane amounts of damage. Nemesis is doing God's work as well, forcing flashes left and right with the mobility and the knockups that Decoy is providing him. It's really incredible to see how much these singular picks can change fights, but it does seem like in the extended fights, things are going in the way of 100 Thieves next, especially with the sustain that they're afforded by a Sniper and Fnatic in this front line. We're going to get to see what we're expecting to be the last few minutes of this game, one way or another, play out right in front of us, though, as we've got Dragon coming up in just a minute.
Guardian Angel now online for Array as well. He is prioritizing his life at all costs here. The damage from this Jhin, honestly, not too palpable. I'll be honest, this is a very low damage build that we've got here. Maybe able to slightly chew through the Ornn, but other than that, we're looking at a Corki carry type situation. Fnatic and Sniper have also been absolutely revolutionary here in this third game, just pumping out the DPS onto front line and back line alike. Drake going to be spawning in a couple of seconds here, less than 20. That's the Cloud Soul going over. Not Cloud Soul, Cloud Soul Point rather, going over to whoever gets it. We imagine it'll be 100 Thieves next. And Insanity spares no time with the package in his back pocket, just in case there happens to be a contest. Let's wait and see whether or not he's going to use it to try and find another play.
I like that he ends up going for it. Now gets back to his team just in the nick of time. Sniper splitting the lane right now, just close enough to 100 Thieves next to join them. Should a fight break out, as Nemesis searches for engages as often as he can. Team Ambition are in a position that 100 Thieves themselves know quite well from last game, at the time where you have to fight or die inside of your base because Baron is choking you out.
3 cannon minions wailing away on this bot lane turret, and Decoy, the poor little Ornn that can't, unfortunately, he's just going to have to tank these ones up, whilst the rest of 100 Thieves are taking the mid lane turret as well. Absolutely brutal defense right now, but for the time being, they've done it. The Baron is still going to be up for a few more seconds, and they're probably going to get another couple of pushes on. Finally, the mid one falls, and there goes the engage immediately.
All right, well, Ornhorn not going to connect. Actually, is going to connect onto one, and it's onto Array of all people. Guardian Angel still available, so he gets popped right into that. Insanity deletes Anti on the other side, but now Nemesis is on top of him. Pops yet another Guardian Angel. This Yasuo is styling in the back line, but he finally gets taken down. And with Sniper, Fnatic, and Dombre constantly running forward, finding kill after kill, the bullets from Jhin soon to herald the end of yet another game, and 100 Thieves ascent to victory in the very first series here.
That is just the difference between the later stages of Yasuo and Talon. They're trying so hard, playing this fight so incredibly well here. The durability from Array, the shield bow from Insanity. They're going to be able to take down the Nexus here, put themselves 1-0 on a series record here, but the series delivered far more than we were expecting.
Decoy takes so much damage. It is hilarity at the end, but ultimately, it is a 100 Thieves victory. That was not something that I would say that I could have even said confidently going into this game, though, and even up until the 15-minute mark, things still seemed iffy. Team Ambition may ultimately have fallen, but they looked so good.
They did. This has been a revolutionary series for them, honestly, because coming into this one, I think that I would put 90% of people saying that this is going to be a 2-0 to 100 Thieves next, pretty much without a doubt. Maybe some doubters that give them a game here that they've ended up taking, but they have looked good in all 3 games, right? There were positive points to take from all of them, and a real showcase to 100 Thieves next that these up-and-coming new teams in the Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier are all here to stay. They're all here to try and take you down because you've put a target on your head going 5-0 in the open qualifiers. Everybody's that much more motivated to take you down.
Yeah, there was so much going on in these games, from adaptations to niche playstyles that Team Ambition had, to even 100 Thieves Next still figuring out exactly where and when they are strong. We saw sort of Insanity step up in really big ways during these games, but it was Donbray that really wowed me. I was looking at Fnatic and him during our sort of preparatory stages going into today and going, it seems like 100 Thieves Next have this jungle support focus that spearheads them, but it was emphasis on support, especially during that last game where Donbray was starting and ending so many fights. Let's see what our desk has to think about it, as we'll be right back with another series after we hear what they have to say.
Thank you, Dia and Rude Dude, for casting a fantastic series there between 100 Thieves Nets and Team Ambition. 100 Thieves Nets were able to stand out on top, and gentlemen, we were talking a lot during that game about how everything was going, some of the chaos that we saw inside of the draft. So go ahead and walk me through some of your thoughts, because this draft has been a hot topic for us.
Yeah, I'm not mad, man. I'm just disappointed. Like, why did you, game 1, you get outclassed by playing like AP, AP bot and then AD mid. And, it does not synergize well together. Like, fundamentally, these champions don't help each other with what they want to be doing in the game. And, game 2, you go to something more traditional. It works out fantastic for you. You play great on it. You're able to take a game from the number 1 seed. And then going into game 3, you just go back to what didn't work. And, I just feel like while there was definitely some hiccups from 100 Thieves, maybe losing a little bit of composure there in the early game, reaching for some stuff. Like, I just imagine if you had a composition that might be a bit more set up for success, then you might have been able to carry that lead into something more sustainable in game 3.
Yeah, the big thing that I see when I look at this draft, and Zoo and I you and I both know we were talking about this a lot in the game, but
Yeah.
when you first pick an enchanter, you really do need to look at what champions work well with this and can actually be enchanted by them and be empowered to work, because not all enchanters work the same way. When you have a champion like Karma, who can play sort of in the mid-range, you have the big AoE shields. You want to have a team composition that groups up a lot, that you can use the big AoE shield and AoE movement speed really well. Something like Sivir works really well with that because you play at the same range. That's not what this comp does at all. You've got 3 melee champions, one of which is flanking from like over a wall, and then you have Syndra as well, which doesn't really use the movement speed all that well either. And you look at what other enchanters could work here. Maybe something like a Yuumi, you could strap onto that Talon and, take a ride over the walls and actually get all of your shields and heals off onto your carries. Karma just doesn't do that in this composition, and I think that's something that people sort of have as a misconception about enchanters. They're not all the same. They do actually do different things and at different ranges as well. It's something you have to look at when you first pick an enchanter.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And it comes down to the fact that, like you said, it's easy for everybody to look, enchanter. Yes, I know what this does. Shields and heals, that's it. That's all they do. They do the same thing, but no, each one of them have a very unique thing that they're able to do very well. And unfortunately for Team Ambition, they didn't able to get that. They had a good showing inside of the series, especially inside of game number 2, but they did fall to 100 Thieves Nets. And 100 Thieves Nets, one of the things I do have to go ahead and compliment them on is when they were able to grab the lead for themselves, all of us here on the desk were like, all right, 100 Thieves does not let go of the pressure from here. And they know exactly to keep the foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, 100%. It showed throughout. It showed throughout the series that 100 Thieves next. Even in past VODs, looking back through these qualifiers, like this team does a pretty decent job of maintaining control once they're ahead. Maybe the speed of how they close could have a little bit of work, but overall they do a really good job. But both of these teams definitely struggle from playing from behind. And so once 100 Thieves is able to take control back, they made some great plays to get back into the game. It's just kind of smooth sailing from there for them.
Absolutely. And I want to hype something up real quick, right? We're on the desk over here on the Academy stream. Over on the other stream, there was Golden Guardians Academy taking on UCI Ivern, the number 2 seeded team. Over here, we had the number 1 seeded team in 100 Thieves Nets. Both of them dropped a game to the 15th and 16th seed here inside the first day after open qualifiers. This is looking like these groups are very competitive and it is looking very interesting going forward with the next couple games. We still got more games on our hands here, and it's so exciting to start off your day with just those kind of upsets coming at you.
No, I mean we've got more games tonight as well on both channels, so definitely get excited for this tournament. It's only the beginning. We got a bunch of other upsets that I'm sure are coming, not just the single games. I'm sure we're gonna get some that are just the entire series.
Yes, absolutely. I'm very excited to see what that is going to look like. We do have, I believe we are going to have Fnatic for an interview coming up here. But before we go, we will be parting with our absolute Giga Brain guest here. Zoo was over here off stream predicting everything in Champslet. So the dude's
Yeah, I was
brain-
begging for that. I was just saying, just slam Jin Leona like B2, B3, please, and follow it up with an Aatrox and an Ornn, man. They had the recipe, it was good on them, but it's definitely a lot of chatter behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout outs to Zoo, man. Appreciate you for coming in and being our guest here tonight. If you guys want to go ahead and follow him, his @ is right underneath his portrait there. So yeah, we're going to take ourselves a short break. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for a interview with Fnatic. So make sure to stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Proving Ground circuit. I am joined here with Fnatic, jungler for 100 Thieves Next. First and foremost, Fnatic, you guys just came off of a tough series there. I think a lot of people were looking at it saying, all right, the first seed versus 16th seed. You guys had to play against a very interesting matchup, an interesting team here in Ambition. How you feel after coming out of that game?
It's definitely a reality check, that we gotta take every opponent seriously and not just be too cocky, because this was way too close than it should have been.
Yeah, and you guys had to deal with somebody who was very interesting. I want to kind of look into this jungle matchup because I think a lot of people were hyped on Anti over on the other side of the table from you guys. How did it feel going against somebody who's wanting to pick all these assassins, especially in your past experience, having to deal with Talons and Zeds inside the jungle world?
For sure. I mean, it's very different, as I said. I think we didn't have the best prep coming to today. I think they surprised us with a lot of stuff. And I think it's definitely always just reality check, really.
And it's your first best of 3 with this team, right? This combination of players. Of course, there's some players in the roster that you have played with in the past, so it's good to have that level of comfort. How are comms kind of going with the bit of chaos that was going on, especially with some of the things that were catching y'all off guard?
I think we're just normal, and I think the main thing is, definitely a lot of stress in the game 3 compared to the other games, but I think we're very confident. I think we all know that we're the better team, and as long as we play our game, we should win.
Yeah. So this was game, like you said earlier, kind of revisiting a point, said it was a little bit of a reality check for you guys. So you guys like looking at the next couple of games and you guys are like, all right, we're going to have to bunker down, get ourselves prepped up and ready to go. Are you guys aiming to just not drop another game after this point? What's the goals looking like?
I think I'll speak, I think, from everyone in our team. I think, we're all aiming, I think the amateur teams, we're just aiming at the academy teams. I think we've got the roster to do it. And as long as we play our game, I think we should be pretty good.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. All right. Well, with that being said, man, I mean, I want to hit one more point here. You guys have General Sniper over there in the top lane, a very hyped prospect that a lot of people have been looking into. How's it feel being having this young, new, fresh blood over there inside the top lane for yourself?
I think it's really nice. I think sorry. Especially when there's a new player, there's always a lot of energy. They're always excited. They always want to improve. So it's very nice to have him with us because I think some of our players are more experienced. So it's this, this we're just doing this again. But having a very talented player, so glad to have him on my team.
Yeah, not on the opposite side, right?
Yep.
His CSD was pretty insane throughout the games, and he's very aggressive, and rightfully so. With that being said, Fnatic, do you have anything you would like to say to any fans of 100 Thieves Nets that were coming out here? We had a lot of people inside of Twitch chat saying, all right, 100 Thieves is play. All right, I'm in. I'm sold. Let me see. What you got for any fans and any fans of yourself as well?
I think thanks for supporting me. I think my career has been, a lot of up and downs, at least coming from 2019. But I want to thank Thieves. I think they've been a really good org for the time I've been part of. So,
absolutely, man. Well, look, I'm looking forward to more ups to come up here as you guys got more games to play throughout the weeks and getting yourselves ready to make yourselves through. So thank you yet again for coming in for this interview here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and send it over to a short break. When we come back, we are going to be going into our net series. So make sure you don't touch that browser as we'll be back.